All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Growing Up Alien. We have a surprise podcast because we were supposed to go live, but technical issues on StreamYard have derailed our plans for this evening, as they always say, the plans of mice and men, or also in this case, star seeds, and
Mm.
or in this case. But anyway, it's so wonderful to have Rebecca Rose back again on our show, and I'm pretty sure most of you know who Rebecca is. We won't get into much of an introduction as we want to just get into our topic, but I will say, of course, for those who aren't familiar with Rebecca, she is a survivor of the Dark Fleet Secret Space Program, and she currently has a wonderful intuitive healing center that now I'll put the link to Sirius Blue below here in the discussion in the description, as well as link to Rebecca Rose's channel as well. So it's great to have you back, Rebecca, on our show.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we're all at home here growing up alien, and I feel like thanks for having me. I feel like one of the conversations that's been in my circle, in my social media and all of that has been like people wanting to go home. So it's sort of redolent of that as we're tuning into your channel. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I had a very interesting, weird, non-unexpected epiphany today. But we're going to kind of let this conversation go since we don't have a lot of our guests with us. But yeah, it's a friend of mine told me today. He's like, you can be the hero of your own story, and it's just a weird kind of thing, to actually be a catalyst for a complete epiphany. And literally, I'm still like reeling from where I'm going with this because it's it's like it literally just like it's a stillness. It's a power. It's a centering. It's a not really caring about what's happening around you and a lot allowing the things that are happening around you or not happening around you affect you.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
just like it puts you in the driver's seat.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
It's yeah, I mean it's just
It sounds like some disengagement from necessary disengagement from maybe public opinion, or is that?
well,
Yeah.
I,
It's
I,
less attachment to certain outcomes in that maybe is what I hear you saying.
I
Yeah.
actually I think well yeah, exactly. We were talking about before in an earlier podcast with Brandon Thomas the idea of shedding your skin, but I think attachments really is what that kind of severs in a really beneficial way. Um,
Mm,
it releases these concepts of really moving your life and the events in your life that were rooted in attachments, rooted in yearning, rooted in lack, into a place where those things don't even matter anymore.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm just still like, wow, this is great. It's like,
It sounds like some movement. That sounds like a lot of
I
transformation.
mean, I don't know if it's going to affect other. It's just the craziest thing, and I know. And I just told him, I said, dude, man, you just like changed my world this afternoon, and it's weird because it's just a one thing, and you wouldn't. But it was, geez, it's yeah, it really is that severing attachments. It's crazy. It's but
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you feel lighter.
what yeah, like, you don't care anymore. It's very empowering to be in that I don't care kind of place because as you notice, like Eco is in a bit of a slump. He's still kind of in a bit of a slump, and it,
Hmm.
I think part of with that, be your own hero. It helps to kind of soften or put the fire out of all of these difficulties that we're facing in 3D or 4D, as some people, I've been told it's 4D. Well, we'll just whatever, right? 3D, 4D. That's all of that illusion, all of that facade, all of that, you have to do these things in 3 or 4D. You have to play the game. But in fact, you can step aside from the game. And it doesn't
Hmm.
have to be about resistance. It can just be about, I'm no longer playing the game. Yes.
Well, I think when we become more and more authentic on our path and we have more stability and solidity within our foundation of who we are in good self relationship, whether that's here on Earth or, as we integrate a higher galactic aspects, that's kind of part of the outcome potentially. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and you just mentioned it there. That was actually part of it because if we're trying to embody or understand this cosmic galactic sense of self or experience, it really doesn't play well with a theatrical 3D illusory inconsequential type experience.
Mm,
Then you start to realize that, for some people, again, as it sits for that's not the same thing for everyone. But once you start to, for me, what happened was I saw myself more as that timeless, galactic, cosmic expression
hmm
that doesn't need to. And again, this is a me thing; it's not for everybody, but that has no interest and no need to experience what is supposed to be a 3 or 4D experience.
mm, hmm Yeah.
I'm like this friend of mine, he's very Jedi, and it's just like, yeah, he's very Jedi in the most cuddly type of way. It's so
hmm
easygoing. It's so like, I got this. Sometimes you don't have it, but it's just a lovely kind of it's one of those people that always kind of brings you back. I find Frank Chulian, of course, and you as well. You're always kind of like, oh, you say these little things that help us to kind of reset ourselves, or even to find these new paths, new avenues that we hadn't realized were even there in the first place, and what we may or may not want to take. Sounds brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it sounds like growth and transformation. Like I said, I mean, yeah, I think your audience are looking for those other avenues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, where did you want to go today? Where
Oh
else are
God. I
where
mean,
are you headed?
I know there's so many directions that we can take this conversation. Is there something that you had in mind that you'd like to share with our viewers? Many people are struggling with so many aspects of the lower self, living in this kind of intense
Yeah.
density. Uh,
Yeah, well, I think eventually leading a little guided journey before we go out today to help people on that in that respect to be helpful. Yeah, I mean, for me, I stay on the fringe of a lot of things. I'm very busy with client work
right.
and my own, meditation practice, my own spiritual journey, my own self-healing journey, and that's a ongoing, lifelong endeavor for me. Without question, I can't serve anyone else without first taking care of my own um, sort of growth and where I am on my path, given all I've been through. So I feel like I'm in the right place to be serving people, but also again, through my client work, I know that people are, of course, and even without my client base, I would know that people are struggling and suffering in some ways. But what I see is that the more grounded and not everyone will, this may not resonate for everybody, but the more grounded we can become in this reality, the more we actually become vessels of higher light, and our galactic aspect can really come down through. It sounds counterintuitive and unconventional in a way. Like if you want to go up, go up. Don't root down to this earth plane, especially if you've experienced a lot of trauma. But I find in my client sessions when people really clear out that connection, and you can ground to an upper dimensional frequency in this earth, not necessarily the density of this realm. That's not what I'm talking about, but the highest iteration and expression of this planet will connect us more deeply to our star family and our home planets, and in that. That's my observation over time with working with others and myself. So I was putting that out there.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think that's what makes, the way you work so appealing to people, because they have a way in which they can identify. So many people out there always seem to come across, not always, but there's that sense of, well, I'm perfect, everything's gone so well, and I'm gonna, dictate down to you. And it's hard
Mm,
for someone who's been through trauma to, I think, identify with that kind of a character. But when somebody steps forward, being vulnerable and being raw, and saying, hey, I've been through all this stuff, and
mm,
here I am, and it wasn't easy, and it was a really it's never, and it seems like this just this intense constant readdressing and finding new ways in which to get things to work, and the constant work that is in hard work that's involved in existing in period. Really, I think any planet that resonates with people and makes them, feel a lot more comfortable in the space. There's not a sense of patronization. There's this sense of, look, I understand you. I understand what you're going through, and let's sit by the campfire together and see if we can together figure out a way in which to navigate what are not only rough waters, but sometimes low waters and sometimes high waters. It's kind of
Yeah, that's a good way to put that. Yeah. Um, I found as I've done my work, it's interesting. I think I could speak personally to, becoming more embodied and enlivened on this planet has allowed me to connect more deeply with my son from the programs who's on my home ship, which has been beautiful. And sometimes there's a great missing there. My son Blue, for those who don't know, is a reptilian hybrid from Mars when I was there as a super soldier. A long backstory to that, probably more than we get into today, but um, he ended up being birthed on that on the mothership with the Galactic Confederation, which I experience in tandem with this reality. But since he's there, he kind of, very long story. I'm trying to condense this, but it calls my heart back. But at the same time, I even feel him more deeply being here. I don't know how to describe that adequately, but there's still a yearning and that tension of yearning to go back and get to be able to experience it on a daily basis through psychic means, etheric means. His presence, the presence of my let's say friends and family on the ship, is palpable to me, and I think it comes more deeply through Blue as I'm so heart connected to him. Yeah, that's quite a story. Maybe a story for another time, but he's deeply wed with me, probably more than any other galactic being out there. Yeah, he was made with my eggs on Mars and spliced with the local reptilian population. There's a long story, and a lot of it's light, some of that's kind of dark. But yeah, just a little share from my SSP experiences there, and how that has created a ripple effect in my life now, and brings me into a deeper place of unconditional love for the other, which I would have probably rejected. Who wants to have a reptilian child, half
I don't
reptilian?
mind. I'm fine.
Yeah, right. Like and maybe you guys in your audience are cool with that. So just speaking to my journey with Blue, it has opened me up a lot, and I think it makes it maybe as I'm speaking, I feel like yeah, there's a lot of longing to be more in a physical plane with him, but it also has made me open my heart more fully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I think what you said makes sense for those people who have been through extreme trauma by different races. It doesn't, and we all understand as, different beings of certain races, not the race or species itself, but that obviously will trigger and trip different feelings. Like again, my husband has 13 gray children, not mine, they're his. Same thing happened to you, happened to him with gray genetics. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's kind of curious to see how we're put in different pathways like that kind of narrative where like one, you've been traumatized by this species, by some members of the species, but yet now you have this most amazing experience to temper and redirect um,
Yeah.
how you view um, that species by having this amazing child
Yeah, yeah, it's in it. It's such an inverted thing. Like we know that
yeah,
in the
yeah,
SSP.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I was going to say in the programs, at least the iteration I was in back in the late 70s and early 80s, I was taken to Mars in 82. That really dates me. I'm in my 50s now, but anyway, like at least in that era of the SSP, the weaponization of human relationship and human bonding was at its highest. Um, just speaking from my own experience, and it is like to turn what had been in a way kind of inverted. And this was a group that I met. I was out on patrol. I was a pilot, patrolling and protecting our bases on Mars as a super soldier and a little more than a super soldier. But I crashed and they picked me up and took me back. They were a dying race and their subgroup was dying out, and they wanted to see if they could use my technology or my biology to further advance them. So again, a little more piece of that story or how that ended up happening. Why did Blue and I were dying, and they didn't really know how. They weren't geneticists at all. Very spiritually advanced, but not technologically advanced in ways that we normally think of. So those that I call my family, the Light Alliance, ended up using my crash ship as a portal through the power generator became a portal, took us back into the ship, and he was birthed in the pods, which is why he's still very connected to that ship, of course, as am I. So, but that was a bit of a little rabbit hole I took you guys down, but to illustrate, just to make clear, like I'm not talking about Draco reptilians, and I'm also trying to give a little context to his place in my world and also how that opened me, which is, we come back from the programs, as you've said, heavily, heavily traumatized if you've been mylabbed or et cetera, et cetera. And to find our way back into relationship, into any kind of safety with another person, human or otherwise, is a very, very long journey. I know your path could probably speak to that, and maybe many of the people who are listening here.
Yeah,
So,
you're preaching to the choir. I mean, and that's the thing with our channel is it's for us,
yeah,
it's it is geared, and I say no, it's not just geared for our community, but it's also geared for people who want to understand us a little bit more. And I think to find a way to comprehend what's actually going to be a reality on this planet, maybe at some point. But one of the things that you mentioned, I think, was particularly pivotal was the idea of the weaponization of humanity, of human emotions, of the human body. I that really I think defines exactly what is being done on this planet right now is to take a race that has had, and I don't know how much they have yet, I mean, real potential to express quite a depth and a breadth of not only emotions but experiences in the physical form. And that
yeah,
was completely distorted, perverted, just what they did to the beings on this planet. And again, and those starseed envoys who came in, we were all part of the same victimization process. It's quite tragic. So I don't, I don't know, what we can do to us. I think, I don't know. I mean, I'm actually gonna throw this out there. How can we possibly reach the vast majority of the Terrans on this planet who are completely out of touch with their identity as a cosmic being? That they don't, it doesn't even occur, I don't think, to your average person who's caught in the rat race and the tunnel.
yeah, so true. Yeah, and that's probably a question a lot of people have in our darker hours. How do we how do we shift the paradigm? But it feels to me, and this is what I always see again in my sessions, that as we shift, as I've been on my journey, for example, using myself as the talking from my first person experience, my vibration shifts, and that goes out into the world for all of us, on our personal path, right? Our vibration shifts, and that's a frequency that is not seen with the human eyes, but is felt by human hearts, it's shut down and armored as they might be. We begin to shift the equation, so to say. We're equilibrating something as we move down our own paths, our individual work. In other words, I'm saying our individual work really has a way of affecting the collective. We don't necessarily always have to get up on a soapbox and preach something, but through vibration, frequency, emanations that come from how to say, like I have this vibration that comes out of my throat. We have our authenticity place of here, and it goes out into the world, and you're affecting people forwards and back through time just by being yourself, becoming more authentic, having your truth as a lodestone, a guide stone, a north star in your life that really affects things. So it's not a conventional view of like how we change things, but as an energy worker, in a seer and a psychic, I'm always looking at how I read people through energy, and that's what shifts this whole thing. Just one perspective on that, anyway. Yeah,
No, and that's we're trying to merge and blend that aspect because
yeah,
whether you're talking, well, even looking at, say, for an example, physics and science, being able to merge that with consciousness. This is where a lot of your more advanced, those who are aware and with it, people working in the field are working in the field of consciousness, because all science, all physics, all technology will hit a wall. You're going to be on a train track going to nowhere until you start to, excuse me, understand the concept of vibration and consciousness
Yeah.
in physics.
Yeah.
When we talk
Yeah.
about your ship, that's exactly, bingo right there. You'll never have that. Well, of course we already have it, but but
Did you, Andrea, did you say the ship?
your ship.
Yeah. Yes, yes, absolutely. Consciousness embodied, right? Like there's sometimes I am in meditation and I feel myself as the consciousness of the ship, which is interesting, which is the pod itself in which I rest on that ship, which is tandem to my human experience, is also like a fractal of that ship is conscious and it's relating with me all the time. So it's really like having an umbilical cord through consciousness back to the ship and all of it's alive, it's sentient, it's not an inert piece of stuff.
No.
Um, it's vibration. It's exactly that thing. It's frequency. So, and through it, there's this. It's almost like a mother and a child in a way. Going back to myself and my son, this mother-child metaphor here, but the ship and myself within that pod. Um, there's something I can draw upon that is very sustaining, and I would also say loving, high frequency there. That I think it gives me the capacity to dive deeper into this experience of a human on this planet right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's yeah,
Like
it's
plugging, I'm gonna say too, maybe like plugging into a battery. That might be a right metaphor, kind of a recharge there. Yeah. And when I'm in the float tank, it's in the dark and the magnesium float and water. I really kind of blast off into that place. I must say that's is where I can have this, very, it's such a pure experience because my consciousness is so awake and expanded and I'm in this plane, but I'm also expanded beyond it. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. No, it is. It's I think that, finding that kind of tranquility
Hmm.
or bliss type state is really um a requirement for many folks who are, like us, trying to figure out, what to do. I'm not around Terran, so I don't notice um, the regular population, how they would, if that's even something they need. I don't, I'm so removed from Terran
Mm.
that, and it seems like, it's very, I don't know, do you have clients that are Terran, or are most of your clients starseeds?
I think both, mostly star seeds, of course, but but I mean everyone who comes to see me is quite open-minded and seeking for something, of course. So we humans have a such a quantum eternal soul. So even if there's a lot there beyond, our normal executive mind, linear analytical cognition that maybe doesn't fit into the limits of language, linear English language. A lot there. So
Yeah.
something in between sometimes, I think, Terran and Starseed, or people who are waking up. It seems like people can shift I want to say almost like shift their allegiance or become affiliated with Starseeds, star systems that, maybe they've known from other iterations or incarnations, or even through the collective stream is more of that able to find us, even if we don't necessarily come in as how to say star-seeded or we're more identified as Terran and so on and so on and so on. It's a little complex. Yeah.
It is. I mean, it is. It's because, I think, and that's, this is where we come into to me, a crossroads where it's like, it's not up to us. I don't think it's an opinion, obviously, to suggest to this race that's here, which is a star race, is that the
Mhm.
Terran race is a star race. But I don't know.
Well, that's where vibration's coming in if we're talking about frequency up
Right.
leveling and how do we shift the trajectory of the paradigm or shift the equation, on the seesaw there, as there are people awakening, we might sense on our darker days that maybe nothing is happening in that that realm of awakening here on this earth, but there is, and it shifts our capacity, the whole collective begins to shift, even if they may or may not be aware of it. For example, my journey, my mother's still living, she's almost 90,
Okay.
and she hasn't done as far as I can tell, probably close to as you can come to zero self-work in her lifetime. However, I would
Kind of
say
common with that age group, to be fair.
right. Yeah. So, but she has been very affected by my journey, even though I've never talked about it for a second with her. She doesn't know anything about my path or my spirituality or, personal transformation, but I can feel how that vibrational shift has affected her and changed our relationship in a unique way. So just using a personal example of how this the frequency changes within us expand into the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed with the well again, my mom 93. Yeah, I mean she's definitely into this, for sure. She knows about the starships. But it's almost like it's interesting if I try to engage her, and I think I've noticed other people when they're doing the same thing, which is trying to engage a Terran in this kind of more complicated metaphysical, whatever you want to call it, the discourse. I find that my mom always will anchor herself in the 3D. It's almost a default setting and I've noticed other people say the same thing where it seems like there's a lot of these Terrans that can't let go of a 3D perspective. Like whatever we're talking about in the metaphysical can't possibly exist, or it's silly, or it's cute that you like that. It's they don't
Yeah. Yeah.
they will rock back into, yeah, but you got to put food on the table. Yeah, but you got to eat. Yeah, but they cement themselves down into.
Well, this could bring us back into your opening point that there was something lightening in you of like, oh, well, maybe, I don't need that recognition, that validation. I just have to be authentic to myself and my path. It's interesting how that can slowly shift people without, again, not even saying a word. It's your vibration and the path that you follow, you're walking your talk. And so that can be subtly inspiring or overtly inspiring to others, whether they're conscious of it or not. Yeah.
Well, and that's what, I said, you plant a seed, what can you do? I said, you don't have to stand there and try to, nitpick with somebody who's obviously not going to be able to engage in a kind of conversation. But a lot of times you'd be surprised at how much you have impressed on that person.
Yeah, I think that is true. And it could be, sometimes I do sessions for people and they'll write me a year later and say, "Wow, that thing really unpacked. That was an hour. That was like 1,000 hours. It was like I've just been digesting that session for the last 365 days. Wow." Like it'll hit us. My point being that, sometimes our epiphany comes for the other or for ourselves can come like after the fact. There's a catalyst and it's almost like there's a little ripple effect that who knows when that's going to open like a flower?
You
Yeah.
don't, and sometimes there's more than what it's like 500 epiphanies, there's like a ladder of them that just keep, wait, there's more. It's like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and that I think for us especially, we tend to kind of look well, but that excuse me, that's the cosmic things. You're always experiencing things layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, no matter
Mhm.
what incarnation, whether you're, going sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 11th, whatever, there's always that kind of desire I want to experience this. How can I
Mm.
experience this? I want to learn wisdom. I want to learn technology. I want to learn relationships, So, I mean, you are a Pleiadian like I am, a hell.
Hmm?
You're in
You said
a hell Pleiadian.
I don't particularly identify that way, but it doesn't really matter. There's many, many different affiliations, right?
A
So,
lot of people are multi, but I mean it's the same thing. I guess it would be if someone went to Era, and depending on who you wanted to hang out with on Era, again there's the hell, but there's also the indigenous races there. You would go there with that specific goal in mind to experience, to learn something. The Helica, we're famous for our sensuality, and I mean sensuality and senses, sensory form, our ability to sense things, our ability to telepath, our ability to experience a soul essence between beings and between plants and animals and all the different things. So that would be, of course, of interest to some races where they may be more technology based. So there's always a
mm,
seeking for people and races and species
yeah,
as you
yeah, yeah,
journey
yeah.
different physicalities. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well said.
So
Oh,
have you had any recent interactions with your lovely man Tyrion?
Oh, Darren and um, I feel like he's kind of in the background. I don't always, sometimes I feel more connected with someone else on the ship and maybe not as much with him. It kind of comes in waves with him, and yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a struggle with him to,
Mhm.
how to put this. I feel like he struggles to know where he belongs to because our ship
Oh,
is a little bit of itinerant people. It's a refugee ship in some ways,
oh,
and that
I
includes
see.
his background. So anyway, that's something I know about him. And there's a real sweetness there, but I also have a sweetness in human bonding here with my partner in human form, who's also
Oh,
very seated. And it's always meant that I'm supposed to be here doing that as well as
absolutely.
what's happening on the ship. There, I feel really connected to Blue, and I feel very connected to Nicodemus, who I could call, again, the limits of linear language. I could call him a commander on the ship, but it's not in a typical way. He's an energy harmonizer, and things get done on the ship in that way. He's not. He's a dark-skinned ET,
Mhm.
but he's always been a bit of a, I don't know how to say this, again, limits of language, a bit of a fatherly figure or a guide, very
And that makes it right.
safe. And
Right.
yeah, I feel him a lot around also with Blue. And then, yeah, communications with Tyrion are in and out, coming and going. It just depends. And I don't always attune to him immediately and directly.
Right.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons. But
Well,
yeah.
it is. I mean, I'm in a similar kind of situation where sometimes, my relationship with Ika has been, brilliant at times, but also it's been the main source of my pain on this planet.
Mm,
I will say
mhm,
is that if anything, the most painful experience I've had on this planet, and I don't mean that against him, not him and his personality, because it's nothing to do with him. It's
mm,
just the circumstance here. And sometimes I almost wonder if it's not holding me down in a way
mhm,
from where I need to be, which is I suspect I'm heading into a more non-physical realm
mm,
where the experiences of physicality, food, relationships, love, all that kind of thing, sexual love, whatever you want to call it, a relationship like that, I don't need anymore. And is this it's a weird kind of like you bounce back and forth between I need to be like I can be completely unphysical. I can exist in a just I can
mm,
transcend my body. And there's is the battle, like I think like what you're noticing. But for me, it's more about that where it's kind of like I don't think I can or should be experiencing physicality anymore. That's what bothers me.
mm,
Whenever I become in the physical realm, that's when I become upset. That's when I become depressed. And strangely, that's when I feel anhedonia. It's like,
mm,
so
mhm,
it's when I can transcend into the more galactic realm, into the more like almost Buddhist type thing, Jedi, whatever you want to call it, that's when I'm more in my power.
mm, mhm, mhm. Yeah.
So, it's complicated, I think, for all of us who are in these different relationships. And I know if my clients are on that end where they're ET people, where it's kind of like, oh, it's you feel like you're a ball bouncing between.
Mhm. I think, yeah, and that's kind of tying back into what we spoke to, that integration that I notice, which again, counterintuitive, embody more
Right.
deeply here, and you're going to embody more of your galactic inheritance. There's just more room in the vessel. That just seems to be
Yeah.
how it works, at least as I've experienced it. So, with that in mind, I'm wondering if we might jump into a little
I know we
guided.
have we have a special gift that we want to bring to all of our
Yeah.
our viewers.
There's
Looking.
always so many avenues we can walk down and things to speak of, and but sometimes it's so nice to just be guided through something that is personally more experiential for the audience. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So welcome everybody in, and yeah, we're sorry we missed you on the live stream, but this will be just as potent. So thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being you, just like yourself. no one else to be. If it feels good to you, just yeah, settle into your seat, or maybe even be lying down if you like. Just allowing the energy to mm, shift a little bit here. Have a have a breath, and maybe allowing your body to soften if that feels right to you. You carry a lot of I want to say mental tension that relays in somatic form through the musculoskeletal system, a lot of tightness that we might experience in the body, even unwellness or illness, disease, and just allowing higher light, the light from source, light from creation, the light from your own higher self to illuminate anything that needs to be illuminated today, including any guidance or wisdom that would like to come up from the depths of your being, just making some room for that. And sometimes it can feel hard to quiet inside. So many places for the attention to go and wander, but just inviting you back through the vehicle of the breath and the safe space here to unwind within, deeper within yourself and even in your cells, your cellular memory and the DNA code. We touch something sovereign and awake and alive within us. We can begin to let go. And just notice there's a softening through the belly that wants to happen, or through the feet, maybe through the shoulders, the collarbones, the throat. Wala di na di lava di na di nu matchita done la nia te la neko ke ma kon miatru no kurama tirmi done ukani jetino. Yeah, welcoming you to be as you are today, not someone else, but just you, like this. Yeah, have a breath through that. And the exhale, just kind of let the gucky old skin fall away. Not the most elegant language, but that's what came through. All the dense matter that we kind of absorb like a little tea bag sometimes in this world. Just letting that be, yeah, softened, tended, gentle, letting it slip away or even transform. You might breathe as if you're breathing through the pores of your skin deep into your body, into your light body, your energy body, the physical form here. Is there really a distinction, a separation? What if there wasn't? And we can invite our, yeah, if it feels good, I always like to just have a little gesture of self-presence. I like to put my hand in my heart space sometimes. Get more deeply connect with myself. In the heart of the worlds, the many worlds, home stars, home planets, lovers, family away from us, and those we love on this earth plane. It's not that you always must choose. What a horrible double bind to be within. What if you could have both and more? And just let your body rest upon the upper dimensional earth, infused with frequencies that are sovereign and known to you from birth, calming any vibrations of illness or unwellness within you. And be so gentle with yourself. Along with the weaponization of our human relationships, has been the weaponization of relationship with self, so we become more gentle, kind, warm to our own being in whatever iteration, permutation we may find ourselves in from moment to moment. Might you receive yourself as you are, like this, now, here. You can let yourself kind of, some water energy coming through as well as some fire energy. Take what you need, leave the rest. Through the belly, and have that breath that restores, illuminates, ignites perhaps energetic fire in your hands, allowing the crown to open again if that feels good to you, and allow the light that you are to flow in. From this vantage point, your hearing might expand to receive messages that are needed now, Ngar adulibni kung yelon tevashmika konontisha. You might experience some sacred geometric living light moving through you, around you, fractals of creation, mathematics of the universe. You might feel some stars, star family around you. You might feel the integration of a light body, a star being that is also you, an avatar. Through the quantum things, you feel all things are possible. Know yourself as a multiplicity and also a singularity, and everything will come home and come true to you. When you look closely, you might find the garment of separation is very loosely put together. Draw upon the frequencies in which unity exists. It's within you, your cells, tiny droplets of your star home, being made visible to this earthly plane and beyond. And just allow the light that you are, beyond descriptor, beyond linear language, to come home inside your heart now. I'm not a different beings making themselves known in my awareness, belonging to our audience, to Andrea and I and others. Some emotion coming through there might be, something coming through that's really important to those that are listening. Just give some time to yourself in this way. To make yourself available to yourself and listen. New worlds are created. Old worlds can change. And there's something healing for physical illness as well as psychic and spiritual illness. Anybody who's been targeted, I can feel there's something coming in to equilibrate that. We could be going with this for many long moments, but we can also let people rest there and see what's arriving and arising for them from the depths and through the great expanse of the cosmos. And offering this as a kind of supplication to personal and collective transformation. Super gentle in there. Let yourself rest in that space. Yeah. Mm. 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 Oh. Yeah. Thanking your audience for helping bring all this through. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Remember, as we move forward, we're all called deeper into our own authentic expression. Yeah. And I think that's where we began today. I think you were speaking a bit to that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Andrea.
Well, it was brilliant. I'm really glad we were able to get this done and see if we could do the live. And
Yeah, we got a recording done, and yeah, it's
it's
always kind of
meant to be
predicated
that way.
on.
So, that's everything is meant to be as it is. So
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And um, hmm, yeah,
wonderful, beautiful, and
yeah,
folks to come back and experience the meditation over and over again and see where it takes them in different places each time. So
yeah, and it will take you to like listening to a session, it'll take you somewhere new every time, or expand upon the last sort of, let's say, teaching or self-wisdom that emerged. It will keep giving back to you. So yeah, if people want to book sessions, we can link RebeccaRoseBarfoot.com below. I'm going to also be speaking at the Super Soldier Activation Conference in Orlando coming up October 8th through 12th, flying from Alaska to the
I know.
subtropics. That's going to be interesting for me. Yeah, and you can sign up for my newsletter, catch me on Telegram and YouTube, Rebecca Rose Sirius Blue. You can find out all about my story in the SSP and far beyond through yeah, my YouTube channel and the Bringing Light to the Darkness series. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all those. As always, it's always a gift to have you on anyway. So,
Well, thank you so much.
we always say to our viewers, we will see everyone upstairs.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.